Boris Cherny, the creator of Claude Code, just dropped the source on how he's using Opus 4.7. He's been working with it for weeks before the rest of us got our hands on it, and he said that Opus 4.7 feels more intelligent and precise, but it took a few days for him to learn how to work with it effectively. The guy who built it had to relearn it. So what hope did the rest of us have if we just port over our old prompts? That's why I spent hours looking into every single post and comment Boris made since the release of Opus 4.7. I've tested every single one of his tips, so let me walk you through the new 6-step system Boris uses to 3x Claude's output. Oh, and if we haven't met yet, I'm Doobie. I run multiple Claude Code agents 24/7 inside an autonomous app factory, and I made over $47,000 vibe coding in less than 50 days. When Claude releases an update, my token bills tell me before Anthropic even makes the announcement. Every single principle in this video is something a complete beginner can apply. No coding background required. So let's start with Boris's favorite new feature, auto mode. Auto mode equals no more permission prompts. Opus 4.7 loves doing complex, long-running tasks, like deep research, refactoring code, building complex features, iterating until it hits a performance benchmark. In the past, you either had to babysit the model while it did these long tasks or use dangerously skip permissions. So they rolled out auto mode as a safer alternative. In this mode, permission prompts are routed to a model-based classifier to decide whether the command is safe to run. If it's safe, it's auto-approved. Not only does this mean no more babysitting, but it also means you can run more Claudes in parallel. Once a Claude is cooking, you can switch focus to the next Claude. Simply use the shortcut Shift+Tab inside of the Claude Code terminal or toggle it from the dropdown in the app. This feature is currently only available for max tier users. If you're on the Pro plan, don't worry. I'll show you an alternative later in the video. I tested it out yesterday. I had Claude Code review my entire code base for an app I'm building. Usually I'm glued to my screen, clicking yes every time I make a tool call. However, this time around, it didn't even ask for a single permission. I went to make a coffee, came back, and it's already completed the task. But auto mode only works if the model is actually making good decisions under the hood. So let me tell you about Boris's next tip, effort levels. Now I couldn't find which benchmark measured this, but Anthropic has once again taken the lead from Codex with 5 effort levels to choose from. Yep, there's a new effort level. It's called xhigh, which is now the default for Claude Code. So if you recently updated your Claude, you might be wondering why your token usage may have gone up. This is likely why. It sits between high and max and is the new default effort level, up from medium. Boris mentions Opus 4.7 uses adaptive thinking instead of thinking budgets. To tune the model to think more or less, he recommends tuning effort. Use lower effort for faster responses and lower token usage. Use higher effort for the most intelligence and capability. Each effort level used to come with a guardrail on how long Claude was allowed to work for. Lower efforts usually meant it could work on the task for a few minutes, all the way up to max effort, which could run for a few hours. However, now the model decides how long to take based on how hard the step actually is. The only thing you can actually change now is the effort. Most people think max is smarter. Max is actually less consistent. Anthropic's own blog post said it's prone to overthinking with diminishing returns. They are literally telling you to use xhigh, not max. Even Boris says he personally uses xhigh effort for most tasks and max effort for the hardest task. Use /effort in the terminal or toggle it from the dropdown. I did some tests and I wouldn't recommend dropping below high if you're vibe coding. Low and medium seem to skip reasoning and takes a lot of shortcuts. Notice the pattern with everything we just covered. They all run on your laptop, which means the best Claude settings in the world only work while you're awake. Shut the lid, agent's dead. That's exactly what Hermes agent solves. Built by Noose Research, it runs on its own infrastructure with a built-in learning loop that actually gets smarter over time. But Hermes still needs to live somewhere. Running it on your laptop defeats the purpose because the moment you close your screen, your self-improving agent stops improving. You need it online 24/7 under your control. That's where Hostinger comes in. With Hosting as VPS, you get a one-click Docker template that deploys Hermes agent in seconds. You don't need to know any code. It just works. Your API keys and conversation data stay on your server, not some third parties. Because it's a VPS, your agent runs 24/7 and never loses its memory, even through restarts, and it plugs straight into Telegram, Slack, Discord, or WhatsApp, so you can talk to it using your phone. If you want to spin up your own self-improving AI agent, use my link below and use code DoobieBoobie for an exclusive discount. Shout out Hostinger for sponsoring this video. Okay, so auto mode handles permissions, xhigh handles depth. Now let me show you how the creator of Claude Code doesn't even watch your work anymore. Focus mode. This one genuinely surprised me. He said, "I've been loving the new focus mode in the CLI, which hides all the intermediate work to just focus on the final result. The model has reached a point where I generally trust it to run the right commands and make the right edits. He just looks at the final result. Why does this matter? Because every Claude Code tutorial for the last 12 months has been about watching the plan, reviewing every step, correcting when it wanders. Boris is saying, stop. Focus mode hides the intermediate steps so you only see the output. To be totally honest though, I don't fully agree with this take, so here's my middle ground that's been working. Focus mode on for my builder agents. I don't need to watch a builder type out strings of code. Focus mode off for my reviewer agent. I want to see their reasoning because it lets me know that my prompt worked and that they're on the right track. And don't worry, if focus mode hides something you actually need, every session still saves the full log. You can scroll back if the output looks off. I'm coining the combination of focus mode plus auto mode as ghost mode because you literally won't see anything until it's already done. Just type /focus to toggle between on and off. So far we've killed permissions, tuned depth, hidden noise. This next one takes that even further. It literally scans your sessions and builds you a list. It's called Fewer Permission Prompt Skill, and Boris has vouched for this skill personally. He says that the new skill scans through your session history to find common bash and MCP commands that are safe but caused repeated permission prompts. It then recommends a list of commands to add to your allow list. You just run the skill and it looks at every command Claude keeps asking you permission for, figures out which ones are safe, builds you a whitelist, you approve it, and it will never ask permission for those again. This is a great alternative to my pro plan users who don't have access to auto mode. I recommend run it once a week and see what it picks up on. One thing I noticed when testing that Boris doesn't really mention is that this is actually a great way to find patterns and deepen your understanding of how you work. Because the best way to utilize AI for your own personal gain is to understand what repetitive tasks you can automate within your workflow. So that's 4 settings that handle friction. The next one is the setting that handles the pain of coming back to a long session. Recaps. This new feature shipped earlier last week. Boris describes recaps as short summaries for what an agent did and what's next. Very useful when returning to a long-running session after a few minutes or a few hours. After a long session, the model auto-generates a summary. So when you come back 2 hours later, you're not scrolling through your entire chat history to figure out where you left off. Anthropic shipped this specifically to prep for the 4.7 because the whole point of 4.7 is long-running work, overnight refactors, multi-hour sessions. Out of all of Boris's tips in this video, this is actually my personal favorite. I'm sure you guys know the pain when you're running multiple agents at the same time. One is easy to manage, but when you get to 3, 5, sometimes 10, you start forgetting what each agent was even working on. So recaps has actually been a huge help for me personally. One thing I did notice while using it is recaps can compress away any errors you would have caught by scrolling. If your agent did anything weird, still skim through the raw log. The feature is automatically implemented into Opus 4.7, but if you want to turn it off, you can do so in /configs. 5 settings down. Now let me show you Boris's advice for 3xing Claude's output. Boris's prompt style plus the /go skill. Personally, many of my prompts these days look like Claude do blah blah /go. That's it. That's his format. 4 words in a / command. Claude do blah blah /go. Nah, but in all seriousness, what does /go even do? He built a skill, 3 steps chained into one command. 1. End-to-end testing using bash, the browser, or computer use. Claude actually runs the thing and checks it works. 2. /simplify, another skill that cleans up the code, removes dead paths, trims what he calls over-engineering. 3. Submits a pull request, packaged, labeled, and done. 1 command, 3 jobs. No supervision required. His quote on why this matters: verification is important because that way when you come back to a task, you know the code works. Boris isn't writing 400-word prompts anymore. He's writing 10-word prompts and chaining skills for everything else. The skill does the heavy lifting. And this ties the entire video together because auto mode handles permissions, xhigh handles depth, focus mode hides noise, fewer permission prompts kills the friction, recaps handles memory, and /go handles verification. That's the full loop. You can build your own /go skill through Claude Code because it has skill development built in. The point Boris is trying to make here is stop typing the same instructions over and over. Package them. If you want to build your own /go skill, just copy paste this prompt. So let's recap Boris Cherny's full 4.7 system. First, you you've got auto mode, shift tab to enable, stop clicking permissions, and just let it run. 2, you've got effort level. Extra high is the new default now, so stop running max everywhere. Bump up for hard steps, drop back down when you don't need it. 3, you've got focus mode. Hide intermediate work, trust the output on builders, not reviewers. 4, you've got /fuel permission prompts skill. Run it once, approve the list, kill repeated prompts forever. 5, you've got recaps. Come back to long sessions with a summary. 6, we found out Boris's prompt format is literally just Claude do blah blah /go. Package your verification into a skill, use short prompts, and let skills do the heavy lifting. Do those 6 things and you're running Claude Code the way the guy who built Claude Code runs it. Now, if you actually want to see what this looks like when you scale it up, I wired all 6 of these principles into an autonomous app factory with 11 agents running 24/7. Full architecture breakdown right here. Combine this video with that one and you'll become a vibe coding savage. Peace.